let's get everybody to roll for initiative.
Look at these terrible fucking rolls.
And we're supposed to have combat today.
Oh my
Are we?
god. Yeah, we are supposed to have combat today.
I know I say
Nero,
this every time, but is there anything you can do to turn yourself up a little bit?
Let's see.
Oh, really? She's coming through pretty clear on my end.
She's just a little bit quieter than everybody else. I mean, not like a little bit quieter, but noticeably quieter.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
There, I put at max volume.
That's better. I mean, now you're at least coming through the same volume as Nero is. Again, on the recording side, which means that anybody in a VOD is going to hear it at the volume I hear it.
Okay. Let's remember to reset corruption. Spend any reward points if you haven't yet.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So, I have no idea anything about the religion in this game, and I have a feeling that it's going to come up at some point.
Yeah.
I have, would that knowledge be in folklore or some other?
Folklore, yeah.
So if I took a focus in, like, local history, national history, like, would there be a focus for that or no?
Yeah, you could take a focus in, like, traditions and religion. Like, you would know basically the basic stuff, right? Because education is like the theology.
Oh, well, I'm not educated at all.
Right. Well, if you took your folklore with a focus in local religions, that would cover like most of what I think you're trying to get at.
All right, so local lore?
Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
Okay.
That sounds like being a peasant in the Dark Ages, right? You don't know what the books tell you, but you know what the priests have told you. And maybe
I
they're
know
right.
what I know is true, and what I say is true.
Yeah, you've got the information that you've gotten secondhand from the priest, which may or may not be right. But you know it better than the other peasants.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
All right, if everyone's ready to go, why don't you give us the recap of your last time? Unless you're
Let me see. Let me try to remember. We went into the manor. We investigated the manor. We found a big ogre that was huge, and find out that he's pretty much trying to take Genevieve and her mom away. huge. And then we were also trying to figure out. We found the body. The hunter's body was missing. We followed the bloody trail due to Rutherford because he helped us get there. We found a hut and a pit with the hunter's body in it. We investigated the hut, and the one thing that we noticed was the mask with the knife in it, or the dagger in it. After that, we were kind of debating what to do next. Then we kind of went our separate ways. I believe Rass was in the manor, left. Rutherford went on to figure out what the that one family that I can't for some reason get their name right? Zangberg? I can't even remember.
Zagan,
Yes, I can. He talked to some people. He decided to talk to Marsha, and he lied to Marsha, telling her he was a priest, which gained him corruption, which was fantastic. But he did find out that the witch that they were looking for was indeed Genevieve's mother, and she's at the mill. Meanwhile, Genevieve made a deal with what was her name? Oh, Alja, to help her in case things went bad.
Ah, nice. That's what I
And
was
then
wondering.
I almost got a kid killed because a certain ogre doesn't want to play nice. Oh, that poor child's fate. Nothing happened. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened in a nutshell.
Okay, so just to focus in on the crucial point here, when I'm looking at the map, the mill is that structure that's right in the bend of the river, right? On the east side of Bogan.
Yeah, it's pretty much in the town proper, right? It's like a couple minutes walk from the tavern. It's not that far.
Yeah, it's like in that little that corner of the bend of the river.
Okay. So I guess the question then is, how do we bust her out?
Dude, I don't fucking know. well, right now, I don't think Rutherford has come back and told Genevieve what he found out. So we don't know. Technically, our characters don't know anything.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
From what I remember is I walked outside of the church and then opened the book to find coins in it.
Oh yeah, you
And
did
then I
find.
went to go.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it
the
like?
fucking priest desecrated his holy book.
Yeah, there's like 10 coins in there, 10 gold coins. For some reason, they were in there.
If that priest comes back, he's gonna pay dearly. I'll tell you.
So Rutherford passed himself off as a priest to whom?
Marsha, because he told her like, oh, I know some certain rites that.
I told her I was raised as a priest.
Yeah, totally lied to her, and she fell for it. It was genius.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and so technically he has a way in because she told him like, oh, if you have the rights or whatever, you can come in and do the special rites for the witch before her burning or whatever.
Well, I mean, maybe the easiest thing to do is let them bring her out to the stake, right?
Well, that's if they bring her out of the mill. Because they could
We
just tell
could
you,
just
they could just like pull you into the mill and be like, do your rights there.
Yeah, I was talking to Lancha about this earlier. I said that we could just burn the mill down with Jeb and Anton and the witch.
I don't know, man.
I'm joking.
I feel like that's a good idea in some sense and a terrible idea in so many other ways.
The thing is, ultimately, if there is a way to get Genevieve's mom out of there and then lock the rest of them in and burn that sucker down, I don't think that's necessarily the most terrible plan ever. It's just that, the rest of the town is not going to be particularly pleased that we burn down their.
That's true. Unless we lie, like we may make them think that there's a fire, but there's not really a fire. We just cause a panic.
Well, here's the thing. In a really weird and ironic twist of events, I still maintain that Jeb is in fact a witch. So burning the witch per se is the truth, and it just happens that the mill goes down with it. It's just that we have to somehow prove to the town that that's the case.
No, in a weird twist of events, now one of you has to pretend to be a witch hunter.
I am a witch hunter.
I was raised as one after
by
I got out of the
default.
priesthood.
He is everything. You don't understand. He is everything.
MacGyver of the setting.
In the words of Ricky Bobby, I shit excellence. Okay.
I am not familiar with the reference, but it sounds awfully funny.
You never saw Talladega Nights?
So I imagine Genevieve's gonna head back to the manor after she talked with Elja. So to meet up with Rass and see. Hopefully Rutherford comes back alive.
I think Rutherford was on his way there.
And where's Nash during all this?
I got
Nobody
lost somewhere
knows.
outside of town.
He's like hidden somewhere, I think.
Yeah, you were in the riverbed on your yak. I mean, it's not that hard. It's hard to get lost.
No,
in the
remember I'm
riverbed.
following somebody and I lost them. So in that
Oh,
sense,
yeah.
I am lost.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
by the time the others get back, we may want to make some efforts in order to find Nash and bring him in on what we're going to be doing next, since he seems to have a vested interest in making sure that Genevieve's mother is safe and sound as well.
Yeah. So let's just assume at some point, even Nash realizes that like you could go back to the manor. Don't know if you do, but you go back to the manor and meet everyone there. Rasmussen, you've done a fairly okay job of cleaning up, but it's it's a weird. It's weird staying in that house because it feels like the longer you're in that house, the more like you kind of see stuff go into disrepair despite you cleaning.
Oh, really? Okay.
But it's like it's hard to like say, but like it just feels like something that you just stepped on that was like, you stepped on a floorboard and it was fine. Now you step on it and you can feel that weakness, that creak in it, right? Like a second later, but you can't like point to anything and say, oh yeah, this is visibly very different. Just over the course of a couple hours.
Fair enough.
But yeah, we'll say Genevieve and Rutherford arrive around the same time. Nash, what abouts were you doing after you lost your quarry? Or do you think you were able to, or if you'd like, you can give me an awareness test to see if you pick her back up again at some point.
All right.
We'll call it
Awareness.
standard.
Perception. Oh, standard. All right. Had to make sure I was on standard still. Cool.
No, see, so this is I should have told you this before. This was a fail forward test, but you are going to suffer some mental stress for basically just doing a bad job, right? Waiting. But you do eventually find her, but it gets a little stressful because you lost her. You just want to find this freaking girl and get her back. The stress gets you a little bit. Take 6 mental peril.
If 6 is my threshold, then what does that mean? Is that nothing or
You
1?
move. I believe it has to exceed thresholds. I'm almost certain of that. I've been playing this game for weeks now. It has to exceed your.
Okay, so equal to doesn't mean anything then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's the case. If I'm wrong, I will fix myself later. Yeah. So then you shake it off, but you eventually pick up Genevieve and you see her heading back out of.
Yeah, sure, just ride along on my yak. God darn tootin' something for fucking monkey or something. Just filling the time while Fluff is attending to the oven.
Okay. Genevieve and Rutherford will say, through the magic of role playing games, you arrived at about the same time back at the manor house.
Wow, I'm gonna have a exasperated shouting when she gets back. I don't know.
Welcome back, friends. I hope there's been some interesting developments, things to share, things to discuss.
Quick rewind. What was Rassmusen doing after you left last session?
I went back to the manor to try to clean the place up, scrub away the blood, take care of the bodies, all that kind of.
Okay, I couldn't remember what we said you were doing.
Presumably, it wouldn't be too difficult for me to present each of them with a glass of mead as they return.
Yeah, totally. What little you eventually find some, which is weird because this is the meadery, but it looks like most of the mead has been stolen.
Now, is that it's a brawn test, right?
For what?
Drinking.
It would be a toughness test if you were drinking like a lot, like enough to get drunk. One glass of mead won't do that to you.
Hmm.
So, Rasmussen will begin a discussion. Do we just presume that the information that we all know has been shared so far, or is there any information that either of you wants to hold back? Either of which is entirely understandable.
I mean, I don't really have anything to hide. I
Do you
did
not?
everything pretty much.
Does Rutherford have nothing to hide? Are you just telling us everything then?
Don't get ahead of yourself. I got nothing to hide.
Lying to your friends, one crime.
I'm gonna go with fucking tentacle by the end of this game.
I mean, to be fair, your argument could also be, they're not my friends.
At least one of them is.
So they think.
So now Marcia thinks that you are a priest of the God Emperor. Is that right?
Yes.
And the rest of the town thinks that you're a noble from out of town.
Yes.
Okay.
She also thinks I'm a noble from out of town as well.
So a noble who is actually a priest come to the town in order to perform whatever rites to dispatch a witch. I'm just trying to make sure I've got this clear.
No, we came here to get the mine.
Yes, we
But
did.
now we got so wrapped up into this. I'm now Lord Priest Rutherford.
You know, really,
Lord,
you got a weird
Lord
story.
Father.
I mean,
Lord Father, yes.
If you think about your story, it looks bad if you think about it one way. Like, that you gave up the priesthood for worldly matters?
No, we can work with this. We can absolutely work with
I'm
this.
just saying, if somebody questions it, it's bad. Because
I
was
became
grown.
a priest
Yeah, you were raised a priest. Is your story, but it means that
in a noble family.
You gave up the priesthood for worldly affairs because you're now a noble. You can't be both.
Of course you can, because I am. I'm living proof that it can be done.
And you are digging a hole, my friend.
Christopher does best.
Just saying, you're adding more details to a story, and the more details you add, the more it's gonna blow up.
He's got a point. So from now on, we're going to want to try to keep things nice and simple. So if anybody actually does call you out on it, you just tell them, your calling was to be a priest, but the demands of the secular world of your noble house kept you from it. And then just move on.
Good idea.
Now, as far as Genevieve goes, you mentioned that you were able to cut a deal with Elja. Is that
she's at the oven, I'm guessing still. So I was kind of being like,
yeah, we're filling
a little
the
out
dead
there.
air.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize she was away.
Yeah, I was just talking to talk.
Yeah.
So
That would be
okay,
funny,
well
though.
then, while we wait for her to get back, what are your thoughts on how to get her mom out of this situation? Because I mean, it's clear that she has to be the priority. We got to get her out, and we have to simultaneously deal with the Ziegenfeld witch, which I still maintain is Jeb, obviously.
Help with an H.
I could convince them that they have to go into the forest and bring the corpse of the
Ziegenheld, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
a corpse of one of those beast men. So then, while they're all out busy getting murdered by beast men, we can get Jen's mother from the mill. That's one idea I
Why
had.
do they need a corpse for?
That's not a bad idea. If we use some kind of misdirect, that's certainly in line with what we do. So,
like
that
an
would work.
ogre.
Which brings us to the next question, actually, and that is,
where's Jen's dad?
Well, I mean, right now we know of Nash. I presume that no one else does.
Some people do.
Okay.
You, again, as was mentioned from the last episode recap, a child saw me and then told other people about me. Because Jen kept saying the child should go back and talk to me, even though I threatened to kill and eat the child.
All right.
So we have the Ziegenhelts go chase after the ogre roaming the countryside.
Well, one, why would they do that? And two, I'm not crazy about the idea of putting Nash alone against the hunting party of Ziegenhelts. But I am thinking that Nash would come in awfully handy if we decide to, whatever the heist plan will be to get Genevieve's mom out of there. Which, by the way, does anybody remember what her name is?
Selma. It's on the map.
Yeah. You see I added a new clock that says Selma gets burned. And that's basically the countdown until when they're going to.
It should be an opposite one. That's how Selma gets her groove back.
Oh, geez, I just noticed that. Okay. Wow.
Or Mary's Pa Simpson.
Now, do we know how many people are at the mill? How many people are guarding it? And somebody mentioned there was Jeb, there was Marcia, and I can't remember.
Anywhere between 100 and 1.
Well, I'm just trying to think of whether a sneak in, sort of try to dispatch any quote unquote guards there might be is a viable plan. If we need to, do a full frontal assault, which I highly doubt, but we'll just keep it on the table for now until it gets dismissed. Or if we need to be more cunning and wait for them to actually get her out on their own terms and then deal with it when she's in the open. My concern is the longer we wait, and if we wait until she's in the open, there's going to be a hell of a lot more people to deal with.
I say that we go with the battle plan of our weakest member, and I say that the weakest member is the one with the peg leg. Whatever he thinks is the best idea for him is probably the best idea for us all.
Well, the thing is, the person whose opinion matters most is actually Genevieve, because we're talking about her mom.
Yeah.
Her connection does not make her opinion more strong than the rest of the team. The weakest link in the chain is its weakest link in the chain. That did not come out right, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, actually, it came out perfect, because you're absolutely right. I am the weakest link in the chain. If we're talking about an all-out, violent action, there's only so much I'm going to be able to do.
Right.
I can't run, and I only have 2 bullets left. So, once those 2 shots are done, I'm down to a stiletto and hand-to-hand, and that's going to be pathetic at best.
Right, so we should incorporate whatever plan uses you to your maximum ability. Instead of writing you off, we need whatever plan works best for you.
Well, he can write and read.
Cool.
So I can do what?
Well, there's at least
could-
20 pages, the front 10 and the last 10 of that Bible that are still good and legible. You could start reading that.
I am educated, and I can read.
It's funny, so am I.
Garrett, the ogre can read.
Yeah, I can read.
You're now the only person who can't read.
Shut up. God damn it.
Oh, but you can't let anybody know that, because most nobles can read, so just keep that in mind.
Well, I'm thinking something along the lines of this. One of us causes some kind of a distraction to get the maximum amount of Ziegenhelts out of the mill. The rest of us somehow sneak in, get Genevieve's mom, and use the river as an escape route, given that Genevieve has secured Elba's cooperation. And we can sail up the river or down the river, or, just get her the hell out of there.
Elijah
And then
with a
deal
J.
with the fallout afterwards. Sorry?
Said Elijah with a J.
Elijah, sorry, yeah.
I could hold the church service for the Ziegenhelts and have them all in the church while you get her out.
That typically puts you at the back of the front of the church with no escape.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because he won't be suspected of being part of the issue. Of being part of the
Yes, I'm sure that they have no
he would do that.
misconceptions about him at all.
Like when they walked up to us after we murdered Jeb.
Yes, and when he was blamed partially for it. Named even.
No, but he's been invited in to perform the rites anyway, right?
Cool.
So,
Not
for
like
whatever
these people are
reason-
backstabbing or anything.
I mean, she might have just wanted me to go there so Jeb can kill me. That's one thing.
Certainly Jeb won't recognize you. That won't be a whole issue.
Well, you'll recall that when we went to him after his, quote unquote return, he didn't seem to recognize people. He was a little out of it. So I don't know why that is exactly, but that can play in our favor.
Sure, unless he's faking it.
If he was faking it, he would have killed me right there on the spot when I went to talk to him.
Unless he was faking it.
Well,
He
That's
probably
it.
has some real good plans going. They're gonna summon something by killing Selma.
Yeah, like a vampire. They happen to be married to her. Because we've all watched Castlevania.
whatever their plans,
Selma really gets around.
if she's the linchpin to it, if some kind of sacrifice is required and they've settled on her for some reason, that just makes it all the more reason for us to get her the hell out of there.
Well, I don't think we need need to cover the reasons anymore. We're on it. This is the plan. We're already gonna get her out. We need more to talk about the how rather than the why.
Well, I'm also thinking, what do we do with her once we actually get her out? We can't take her to the manor because that's the first place they'll look.
Oh, you leave that to me. That's already taken care of.
Okay, fair enough. So if we do get her out, where do you want us to bring her? Like, is the river a viable plan, or do you have something else?
I think the river's viable. Also, Fluff is back. We can continue.
Good.
What? I'm sorry.
We've been bullshitting this entire time because literally the second you went to the oven, everything was waiting for Jen.
Oh no.
We've come up with some good ideas, though.
Did we?
Okay.
Most of which have nothing to do with rescuing your mother. They're ideas for Lantra to screw us over with, essentially.
I mean, they're ideas, so.
They were good ideas.
So let's go over what we've got so far. One potential plan is for Rutherford to conduct some kind of service at the church and get as many, I'm going to say, Ziegenhelts
Yep.
as possible to attend. And while that's going on, Genevieve, Rassmusen, and Nash try to get Selma out of the mill, get her to the river where Elja could get her away from Bogenhofen upriver, I'm going to suggest, to some kind of safe place that Nash can take her to.
Opposite direction.
Mm-hmm. But wouldn't she be like in the center of that ceremony or that rite? Like,
well, that's why we want to get her out of the mill before they take her to the church or wherever the sacrifices to take place, or the burning.
the problem is, like, we don't know what they plan to do.
Absolutely right. We have no idea what they plan to do. But that's one of the reasons why I believe haste is required here. We need to act fast.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 cents worth. That's if you all have other ideas, let's hear them.
Did Marsha say anything about, like, I forgot if she said that the rites would be done at the mill or if, like, outside of. That's kind of my question.
I said that I was going to go give her the rights at the mill. Well, I said that I needed to go to the inn and get some of my things and then get some other things, and then I was going to go to the mill. But instead of that, I went to the manor.
What if, and I'm just throwing this out there, we set the mill on fire?
That was one of my plans.
Because they're not going to want to stay in a mill that's on fire, and they'll just run away. And then we just run in and grab Selma and run out.
We could do that. That could be, like, our last resort, I guess.
Let's call that Plan A.
Burn the witch.
And what happens if they grab Selma and drag her out while the mill is burning? Or, alternately, they let the mill burn down and just tie her in.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why are they going to save a witch from burning when they plan to burn the witch?
But they may want to save the mill.
Right, in which case they just leave her inside in case they fail to save the mill. Worst case scenario, they lose the mill, burn the witch. Best case scenario, the witch is still inside of the saved mill.
How smart are these people? Because it's not the fire that kills you, it's smoke.
It doesn't matter. They're not going to want to burn alive. They're not going to be thinking about the smoke.
Oh well, but if they leave her there,
Right,
like,
but
let's
the
say they turn
idea
the
is that we're going to rush
like
in to save her before that's a problem.
that's true.
You start
But
the
what if
fire
they're
at
all
the
just
top of the
standing
mill.
outside watching?
Well, then they won't be expecting us.
Well, if we start a fire, it wouldn't look so suspicious if we appear, because it'd be like, oh, there's a fire, you know.
Well, it's a mill. It doesn't have a lot of windows. Grab a bottle of the cheapest whiskey that's in the inn.
I have an idea. You're also focused on setting something on fire. Why don't we set the Ziegenheld pasture on fire? That'll distract them.
Oh my!
I love it. Let's do it.
What do they grow?
Yeah,
Alexandra's gonna
okay,
hate
yeah.
this.
So we like you could have the right, and then pretty much you'd be like, oh yeah, everyone in the family has to be at the mill, so nobody will be in the house anyways. So if we set the place on fire.
What do they
Well,
grow?
I'm thinking it will give them a reason to rush back, and if
Mhm.
nothing else, it'll reduce their numbers for whatever escape plan we come up with. But we want to set something on fire. Fine, let's set their goddamn place on fire.
Aren't they still
There's
set up in
still vegan health
barricades?
there.
Well, that's the wonder about fire, right? Is like we don't need to necessarily destroy the place. We just need to set a big enough fire that it distracts them.
And most of the barricades are actually at the at Bogenhofen itself, or
Right,
they
but
took them down. Yeah, no, they took them down.
both
Jeff made
sides.
them take them all down.
Both sides took down all their barricades.
Oh no. The Hut
Bells
Bells
are
have still
still-
barricaded their side. Yeah,
Yeah.
just as you can help.
And you were talking about my being the weakest link. This is something I can do because I am a sneaky bastard. So I can get in there and set shit on fire.
What do they
And
grow?
Well, they have
so
they
probably
have like basic
weed.
sustenance crops, but they mostly have goats.
So there'd be a lot of grains.
So you're gonna set the goats on fire?
You could set the barn on fire, which would be full of dried hay and stuff, which would burn real good.
Yeah, it's basically just waiting to burn.
So again, the
I
point
think it's a
of the
good idea.
exercise is not necessarily
Who
to
else is
harm
in?
anybody. It's really just to create a massive distraction so that most of them come back. But the distance is so great that they will see the fire, they will likely see the smoke. But by the time they get back, that gives me more than enough time to get the hell out of there, even with my peg. And that'll clear the way for the three of you to get Genevieve's mom out of the mill to deal with whatever resistance there may be, which I'm going to be of limited use with anyway, and then to get her to the river, and then from there to safety.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea.
So we got one vote in. How do the two of you?
Go. I'm game.
I mean, worst case scenario, another human dies, so I'm good.
Another human dies, right?
So we're agreed. That's the plan of action.
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right. So while we're having this discussion, roughly what time of day is it? Or is it approaching evening? Like how are we doing on time?
You have lots of time. It is noon, right? So I'd say it's about noonish. I think we'll go with that. Yeah. So you've got quite a few hours. They're planning to burn Selma right after sundown.
Okay. So given that, here's the one thing that I wanted to ask. I was down to 2 shots for the flintlock. Now, given that we're going into a situation of some measure of danger, I wanted to know if there was any place in Bogenhofen where I could sort of re-up a little bit, just get a few more rounds.
Didn't you get more from Delilah earlier?
Yeah, she will sell you a shot. Let me just get you a price there. But she will sell you.
Oh, you're right. We discussed that not last session, but the session before. And you just told me however much it costs in the book is what I paid.
Yeah, 3 silver shillings a shot.
3 silver shillings a shot, and it's 10 silver shillings per gold, correct?
No, I think it's
20.
20. Yeah, it's 20 per.
It's 20. Okay. So I've got 1 gold.
I've got some spare gold.
For a second there, I thought I could weigh in something. I remembered I'm poor as shit. I couldn't afford a bullet. But I do have some soft shoes.
What do you,
Okay, so I'll purchase 6 shots on top of the 2 that I have left. That gives me a total of 8, and it'll mean that I still have 2 silver shillings.
Delilah thanks you for your patronage.
Okay, that way, if things go tits up, I'm not completely defenseless. Good.
Sure, you get 1 shot off, you don't run away very far, and then spend the rest of your next turn reloading. What could go wrong?
I can handle that. I'm okay with that. What I can't handle is being out of ammo entirely.
Sure, you take your peg leg off, pretend somebody else did the attack, and that they cut your leg off, and just lay in the field screaming for help.
I'm the liar and the sneak. I'll come up with the scheme to, act all pathetic and defensive.
Okay, so let's sort of, I guess, before going on the plan, about what time are you gonna?
Well, if they're planning on burning her just after sunset, then I want to be kind of hidden and as close as possible to the flammable materials with tinderbox and all the fiery goodness ready to go. Maybe, I don't know, 20 minutes, a half hour before sunset, so that I can start things up just before things are supposed to go down.
Okay, so we're starting the plan right before sunset.
Well, let me posit something to you there, and I guess I'm talking to Nero and not Rasmussen. Let me posit something there, player of Rasmussen. Maybe Rutherford should go out there first to gather everyone up before you head out. So maybe his side should be the first to act. Because
That's a good idea.
you don't want people just
Absolutely.
wandering around while you're trying to sneak up.
so we're going to church service?
Well, so my question is more or less about what time are you guys planning your operation for? Like right before sunset is what I'm getting. Does that sound right?
That's when the fire should be done, yeah. So,
Okay,
I mean,
I have
smoke's
adjusted
really
the
easy
clock
to see.
accordingly.
Smoke's really easy to see at sunset.
I was waiting to see the clock completely filled. Okay, you're doing it at sunset? She's already dead. You waited too long.
Waited too long. So next up, let's see. We got so I think then I'm sorry. Rutherford, you're going to gather everyone up and start the services in the church, correct? So that's you. Genevieve and Nash, where are you guys?
Riverbed on a yak.
Riverbed, yak and horse, or just yak?
Well, I can only ride one at a time.
Well, there's 2 of you.
I don't know where Genevieve's at. I'm just steady
you-
me. I don't. She wants to
Riverbed.
follow me through. Sure, I'll be there.
Yeah, I think I'll follow you because I'm probably gonna help pull out like Genevieve's mom, or Genevieve's gonna help her pull out Genevieve's mom. So I think she'd be sneaking around with you. Sneak, sneak, sneak.
Okay, that sounds good. So let's look at Rutherford. You stop by the pasture first.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how to go about this without gaining 60 corruption.
Yeah.
All right. Well, be at the pasture, farmhouse, whatever. I'll say, I've come here on Marsh's behalf. We're going to be holding a service tonight at the church, and you should all be there.
Yeah, give me a guile roll. Make it trivial difficulty. All right, we'll make sure we're there. Get all the brothers. We're excited for the burning tonight, and you definitely. Everyone seems to be heading about that way.
All right. All right. So
What's
I
your
guess
next?
I keep going.
Yeah,
I
sure.
follow
You can.
behind them,
Mhm.
and I guess we get there. Is there any way I could like see if the hot dogs are anywhere around, or
They're on their side of the river in the barricade. Yeah,
just kind of
you can
watching?
yeah, kind of watching. As most of you filter into the church, along with a good portion of the rest of the town. Um,
Wait, who's most of
yeah.
you?
Huh?
You said most of you. Who is most of you?
I thought I said most of the town. That's what I meant to say.
You said
Did
most of
I?
you along with the rest of the town or something like that.
Oh, that's just word salad
I
coming
say
out. Then.
literally nobody else but Rutherford should be there.
No. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You see most of the town and a good portion of the Ziegen, almost all of the Ziegenhelds, and most of the town that's like lives in Bogenhofen, are there right now in the church. When you enter, you see Jeb is leaning up next to the altar, staring at you, and Marsha's in the front row, and they are waiting expectantly for you. Um, take the lead, Joe. Tell me what goes on.
Well, I walk up to the altar and I get behind it. Say, Jeb, please take a seat. Service is about to start.
He looks at you and he smiles and says, "I was thinking I would be the altar server tonight. Don't you think that's uh wouldn't that make sense? Because I'm gonna be the one burning the witch."
Yes, that's fine. If that's your choice, then you can go at the edge of the altar and wait there.
He gets up and stands behind you, and the entire church is looking directly at you. What do
I
you do?
came,
Oh, sorry.
I came here with a letter from the Graph to investigate this mine. What I have found has disgusted me. These filthy Basques have summoned these demons into the mines, and now they are rampaging across the forest and countryside. The Basque manor has been destroyed. And now, with the priest gone, Father Seneca, I have to take the role here as the only priest, holy man, father of the church in town. Now, before we
keep going, keep going.
Before we get to the burning, I have to tell you something important about witches. You can't just kill a witch. Their soul travels in between bodies after death. This witch has to be sanctified first. The burning is not all you have to do. She has to be blessed first. So, where is the witch? Basque. Selma Basque.
Go ahead. Roll a. I'm gonna say either charm or guile. I'll let you pick. Make it only a standard difficulty.
Yeah, that was good, Grippy.
Thank you. I was shaking a little bit because I knew I was about to die. I might die still.
Jeb stands up, puts a hand on your shoulder from behind, feels slightly cold to the touch. I think that sounds about right. I'll take you to her right now. We'll just go ahead and step on outside.
All right, Jeff.
And as you begin to walk, we're gonna cut for a second.
Oh, can I see? Can I
Hmm.
be aware of how the crowd has reacted?
They seem kind of solemn at the moment, but I guess it's it's sort of like that. Okay, what the heck is going on here? What's this show gonna be? I would say also a mix of that too. Right? Definitely waiting. Again, we're gonna fade to black and you in your crowd, and we're gonna look at Rassmusen for a moment. Sneaking. Tell me what that looks like, and what your approach was, and we'll see what kind of role we need to make, if any.
Well, given his limitations, I imagine that during the course of the day, long before the current proceedings, Rasmussen would have made his way westward towards the surrounding wilderness, and then just stuck to the edge of the tree line, making his way, as close to the Zeekenhelt's pasture as he could, and then he would, knowing again his limitations, just taking the time necessary to slowly crawl his way through the tall grass until he's at the edge of the estate, and then he'll settle in and wait until the time comes. If he sees any figures moving around along the way, he'll obviously duck down to ground level, and if he has to shimmy and crawl his way until he gets there, then that's what he'll do. He's a practical man, if nothing else.
Sounds good to me. I think by the time people leave, you see them go. you weren't really close enough to be caught with such an approach. Um, so I would say it's getting close to dark, and you see the Rutherford gather the last few people up and head towards the town. Um, yeah, what do you do next?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'll have prepared kindling and the what the hell is it called? The flint and steel, and I will, provided I have the time to do so, Rasmussen will have taken stock of, are there any hay piles? Are there any, dried wood? What are the strategic places that he could get to and start a fire? And even if it means going to the main structures and then, you know, chucking a lit bundle of dried grass or whatnot in order to get the fire going. What he wants is by the time he gets the hell out of there, for there to be something of an inferno.
So if you want the maximum burn, there's the barn where they store all the feed. That'll burn quick and fast. And the main house has they have like firewood stacked up on the side of the main house under a covered enclosure.
Well,
So
here's the one question though that Rasmussen will pose himself before he does anything. Is this the main source of grain and feed for the entire town, or is it just for the Zegan?
mostly just for the Ziegenhelds
Okay, then let that
and their
sucker burn.
animals. Okay.
Yeah, he'll go for the barn. Absolutely.
Okay. And your timing is probably just as it's about sunset, I'm assuming.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, he wants to wait until the last possible moment so that there is the least amount of time for them to react, so that they act in a panic and hopefully buy his comrades time to get this.
Okay, go ahead and give me an awareness test very quickly.
What difficulty?
Standard, we'll call it in. Actually, challenging.
I will absolutely use a fortune point.
Go for it.